Hello fellow traders and investors, I'm L.A. Little, a Wall Street outsider, and welcome to my YouTube channel. It took me 20 years to create the neoclassical technical analysis theory and to make me a successful trader, and I share that actionable knowledge here with you on a regular basis. Hey folks, L.A. here, cutting through all the hype and just bringing you what really is as far as the way I read these charts and opportunities as a result. Now, the biggest event this week, there's a couple of them. One is Nvidia. Nvidia just reported earnings, and they just had blowout earnings again. This stock is still a strong stock. There's no two ways about it. I mean, this is strength. Now, what it just did is it popped over these two swing point highs and this one over here, so three of them. So any kind of a push back here is probably going to get bought. And so if I'm looking at this and I'm wanting to trade this, I'm going to look for some sort of softness back into this area as the buying opportunity. Now, you know, some people are still going to say this is sort of a head and shoulders out here. You know, you're getting to the point now where it's a bit of a stretch to say that, right? Because you just broke over this range. That was this range back here. If you do get an extension today that holds up here, that range that it has been in there, which is back over here if you're looking at the daily, is probably done. And that would mean that you're going to try and move to the tops. And that's very bullish for not only the stock and the indexes that it's in, but also for other stocks that will ride its coattails. So Nvidia delivers a big blowout earnings, not only for itself, but probably helpful to the market. And as part of that, if we move over to the overview, the Qs were the other major story so far, and they did it yesterday. You had a bearish retest region that's been out here. Qs get over it, right? They break it. That says that this, what was down sideways, right? And that sideways is this big range still. So some of that bearishness that I had in the Qs has been taken away. And so that's a positive. And if we look over the SPY is up here testing the highs, right? It's going after the range highs again. And so we got range lows down here, range highs up there, and today it's going to be trading up in this area. It's got to get over it, right, to break out of this tight range it's been in. But if you think about this, this has been a long, steady advance. And typically, at some point, you're going to get a retrace. You're going to get something, right, that works off that advance. Well, in this case, you got one little retrace, and then you go up here, and you're just going sideways. So you're working it off in time instead of price. That's bullish. You know, no two ways about it. That's bullish. Until they break this down, you got to think it's bullish. You know, I've got my doubts of whether they can break this out, but mainly what I've been telling you is not that it's bearish. I've been telling you that the risk reward is just not good, right? It's just not there. You know, if I look at this, you know, do I want to take a position, let's say here, I've got this potentially going to take me right back the other way, potentially break the bottoms. That's just not a good risk reward, and that's what I've been saying for a long time. That reward risk equation will change on a breakout to the top side or a breakout to the bottom side, either way, but it's got to do one of the two. If you want to trade the range, you can, and to me it's a one-way range. Why? Well, because you had a big advance coming into it, so you want to buy the bottom of the range if that's what you're doing. But right now, we just don't have enough information to tell us, you know, that it's time to take positions longer term, right? Plenty of trading positions, but longer term, you just don't have the risk reward. And talking about trading positions, there's a lot of them out here. I've talked about, you know, I talked to folks in the TA Today yesterday, or day before yesterday, saying Microsoft is probably ready for a bounce. And the reason for it was it's just been so oversold, and you're not getting volume, you know, rises now like you saw back here as you broke down. So it just looked like you had a little under over. It looked like it was ready. The volume tailed off on that under, and so it got a nice pop. Now, you know, is this going to do anything? It can run back up to the intersection of these two, which is like 421 or so, And so eventually that's the target. You got a hammer reversal. If this holds this week, I would think that 421 number is real. And so this is a tradable bounce. And you have it in a lot of stocks. Here's CRM. CRM, you know, all these stocks have been beaten down because of AI. It didn't give you a clean reversal here, but it's starting to give you a hammer. And so a pullback into this area is probably a good buy trade setup. But there's others out here that are starting to move. Coin gave us a little hammer reversal back here 2 weeks ago, starting to get a push. You can see the nice push yesterday as Bitcoin broke out, and not broke out, but Bitcoin got a big bounce. Again, not a clean entry setup. It just wasn't there. But on a weekly, this thing can go back to the bearish retest region. That's where you always first look. But I think you'll have some problems right in here to start with, which is about 212 or so. Notice over here on the monthly, it held those swing point lows. Problem is, volume expanded when it hit them. That says probably going to retest again. So if you're taking a trade like this, it's a trade. It's not something you're going to want to hold. And let's go to another one that's offering an opportunity, or at least people are thinking it is, which is IONQ, which is in the quantum space. But when I look at this chart, you know, they got a bounce yesterday, decent volume, earnings last night. They're going to bounce again today. They're going to test this swing point high, probably break it. But where can it go to? Well, here you would say, yeah, 44. 44 takes you up into these bearish retest regions. It would get over that one. So if I were going to trade this, I would let it get over this one, right? Then fade back in, because it's been weak for a while. Fade back in and look for an entry. I don't think I would be chasing this thing on the way up. That's the way it looks out here today to me. That's the opportunities I see. If you're interested in what I do, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the alerts, and that way you'll get notifications when I put out these programs. All right, have a great one. See you next time.